Okay, so I think a lot of folks have joined there. So we're just a minute after the hour, so let's get started. So first of all, my name is David McGeough. I'm part of the marketing team here at Scorebody, and I'll be your host today. And I'll introduce you to our two guest speakers in a second. I have just a couple of slides to cover, so thanks, Dave. So yeah, first really is just to give you a taste of who's joined today. We usually have a lot of folks joining in from the US and UK. They're usually a vast majority of our audience, but we think we had, on last count, we had folks dialing in from about 27 or 28 countries. So welcome you all, and thanks for joining us today. And then if we take a look at the industry breakdown, these are usually our industries that represent us in terms of our customer base and also prospects. So yeah, lots of the usual suspects in terms of financial services, and a lot of actually technology companies dialing in that are looking to move to AI, and then the usual gambling and gaming companies, retailers, and as I said, there's lots of other mix of across the board. So again, welcome you all today. And then Dave, just want to go to the next slide, please. So I'm going to hand you over now in a sec to David McGee, who's one of our account executives, and Jordan McGovern, who's our customer success team manager. And I'll ask you all to be proactive in terms of getting engaged in the webinar. So David and Jordan will be walking you through lots of great content, but as you come across anything interesting that you want to learn more about, we do have time dedicated at the end. So feel free to post your question in the questions pane. We are also recording it, so no bother taking notes. We will be sending out a link to the recording as well as our free playbook, which we'll talk about at the very end. So that's it for me for now. I'll pause and I'll let Jordan and David do their introductions and walk you through the session today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel. So hello to everybody that's joined us today. I suppose David's introduced myself and Jordan, but just to give you a little bit of backstory on why we're doing today's call. So look, I'm the account executive with Scorebody, as you can see on the screen. I deal mostly with kind of mid-market and enterprise level clients all over the world. Been with Scorebody, I'm in my fourth year now with the company. And obviously, look, it's changed so much in terms of the AI offerings, and we've a lot of experience, I suppose, we can go through today. And Jordan, do you want to do a little bit?
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, so I am the customer success team manager. If any of the customers are on calls, you've probably come across me. I've been here again, pretty much the same as Dave, about 3 years. My team is completely responsible for kind of your first point of contact with Scorebody for any sort of onboarding, training, kind of upsell needs, all that kind of stuff. It comes directly to us. And over the last 3 years as well, since we've rolled out the likes of QA, we've become, I would say, experts in the QA AI space. So yeah, very excited for today and to go through our presentation.
Brilliant. Jordan, okay, so today, look, let's keep this very much like a conversation. I think the last thing if people want is for us to just read slides that they can read. I suppose as a starting point, kind of the headline there at the top is 3% of interactions are actually reviewed. And that might sound like a small number, but I suppose and I know that that's probably that's with a platform that there's customers coming to us on a regular basis that aren't even scratching 1%. I suppose, look, from your experience dealing with customers and even dealing with customers at the 3%, what's your thoughts on that kind of like, the pains that customers are experiencing today without AI?
Yeah, well, look, 3% of customer interactions being reviewed. It's like trying to review Netflix shows by only watching the trailers. It's a tiny selection process, as you can see here, where there are pain points. It leads to slow reviews. 97% of your interactions go untouched. It's not a blind spot. And then look, cost scale with headcount, not with need. Every extra 10% of coverage equals another unsustainable review. So like, again, like even with the missing trends, a lot of it in terms like you can catch someone forgetting to greet, but you can miss an entire like IVR causing rage. So being able to see that full overview, where we're at the moment is huge, and being able to only see that small imprint is a massive loss for your overall QA process.
Yeah. And Jordan, I suppose, let me ask you a question. Look, I deal mainly with new business until they're clients. You deal with both new business and current clients. I suppose the questions come up a lot, and I've heard you even asking this, so that's kind of why I want to bring it up. But when customers are dealing with 3% insights, how are they making business decisions on that? Like, how are they looking into spending companies' time and resources on that?
Like
What's your
up
thoughts?
to well, like yeah, up to this point, it's been basically random selection, which is not really a good way of going about it. We've had things in places like automations being able to go and look at maybe CSAT and things like that for targeted review, but it hasn't really shown value in that sense at all.
Mm,
Being and only selecting completely random isn't a way of going about it, and the way to look at it in more of either a full scale approach or a much more selected and more valuable outcome is kind of the goal there.
yeah. Okay. So, like, moving this forward a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to go from 3% to, and everybody that comes knocking, for a demo, in our discovery stage, the 100% is the number we always hear. We never hear clients saying, I only want to get to 40% or I only want to get to 50%. Everyone talks about 100. Is there maybe a story you want to kind of talk us through as well, and from your own experience, why 100 isn't like it's kind of a double-sided number in a sense?
Of course. So, like, look, with 100%, there is no more guessing what's happening on your front line, but 100% is a crazy number to even go looking for. We all know that, 100% of our interactions aren't going to be valuable quality assessments. There's a lot of obviously spam. There's a lot of obviously like stuff that doesn't really have content, that not even will it not be valuable for feedback for your agent, but it's not really going to be even eligible for an AI to go in and look at.
Mm,
So we usually in our onboardings and our trials, we really focus on making sure that we're looking at your selection process in general. So if that is picking out an entire team, if we're looking at the likes of how do we understand how to get the best out of your processes, maybe that's, as I said earlier, kind of with interactions, chat sizes. So if we have +3 conversation replies or something like that. So at least there's, some sort of feedback from your agent, but also then we might have like, duration of a call, anything that's over like 3 minutes and the same goes for things that are too long as well. But we kind of aren't really worrying about what's too long anymore, because we can actually give those types of calls for the AI to really go in and listen and spend that extra time that a lot of my clients in the past have never, like, they'd have hour-long calls that they would usually sway away from actually scoring. So the fact that we can focus a little bit more on them and get those key insights from much larger, I guess, time wasting interactions is also a
yeah.
massive thing to look at as well. As we say, like speed, we can analyze in seconds what a human takes 10 minutes to score scale, where whether like, you have 1,000 or 1 million interactions, AI isn't going to blink. And then intelligence, it doesn't just score, it spots patterns, escalations, and sentiment shifts across channels. Um, we have certain use cases with clients who, have either done complete and utter compliance, like 100% of a compliance, like terms and conditions, things where, someone has set a wrong terms and condition that hasn't fell in line with what's currently in place, and being able to spot that stuff 100% of the time. So yeah, we're really hitting something amazing in that area.
Okay, nice. And I suppose like the whole point as well today is to get the message across that, you and I aren't on here telling everyone, come to Scorebody, we'll flick a switch and we'll get you from 3% to whatever that kind of 100% of, the right kind of type of interactions. I think the whole message that we want to get across today, as well as, we have here at the bottom of the screen, and okay, it's small writing, so I'll call it out, but it's getting the speed right, getting the scale right, and doing it in a smart way, and kind of talking through that. So, Jordan, day one, customer signs up with Scorebody AI. I suppose kind of what do we put, like, I suppose maybe share, what do we put in place first to get people ready to start with AI? Because it's not a case of you just buy Scorby's AI package and away you go. Do you want to talk about maybe even just the foundations of it first?
Look, when it comes, like we mentioned it down below, it's practical, actionable, and ready to implement. It is important at the very beginning. We're looking at, what can and can't AI score. That is definitely a huge part. AI QA isn't a futuristic nice to have. It's becoming like an operational hygiene in that sense. So we're looking for where are the largest parts of our QA, what like the areas where they're spending the most time. How are we tackling that? Is there areas so we might, as we mentioned earlier, it might not be 100% of your QA process, but we could be taking 70% of the longest thing it takes to do. And that's kind of where we want to look at first and really nail down first. And you don't need to overhaul everything overnight, but you start small, but start smart.
Yeah.
Early adopters are gaining edge in compliance, CX, and retention, but starting on a phased approach, tackling certain areas first, learning like the tuning process is massive. It's something we'll definitely touch on a little bit later about what, where, and what we tune, but it is massive at the very beginning about getting it in place. And look, it's also your integration, making sure your integration is set up, ready to go. If you're trialing with Scorebuddy or trialing with any tool, they really want to make sure that your tool that we're connecting with is clean and in place, and the data there is ready to take on board. And yeah, that's kind of the main areas.
Let me jump back a second. So we're not expecting customers to sign up with us from day one and go from spreadsheets to boom, Gen AI auto scoring. Like there is obviously a massive, maybe massive is not the right word. There's a commitment in setting up the platform first, getting your head around, using a QA platform. You're part of the, sorry, you run the customer success team here in Scobie, so you know better than anyone. Do you want to talk a little bit about kind of like what ground zero is like and building it up from there and kind of what then the end goal is?
Yeah, 100%. Like, when it comes to the bringing in and starting your trial, as mentioned, it is around making sure as I said, data is clean. Your scorecard is where it needs to be. We look at your scorecard that you have in place. We'll let you know exactly what is capable of scoring by AI, and there's certain things that will fall outside that process. But we focus on what's there and what we can definitely see in terms of you going in and really phoning in and understanding how the AI is going to work. There is a lot of, I guess, nurturing and stuff like that needs to go in place as well. There's also an education part of it too when it comes to you, not just maybe the internal staff that are basically rolling out your project with AI, but also with your agents as well and how they're going to be ready for it. I did kind of mention earlier, it is, again, roll out phased approaches, small. And again, it's something we'll definitely touch on further today. But it's slowly moving through that process, and you can get quick results very quickly, but it's getting to that kind of 100% operational excellence where you kind of get to that hero stage that does take a lot of nurture and scaling and whatnot to get to.
Okay, spot on. So look, let's keep it going because we want to keep a bit of momentum with the L journey itself. We've got great numbers on the call today, and I suppose a big thing that you and I spoke about before is, this is all great, but who's actually going to benefit from this? Who will, who are the end users? Who are kind of, do we work with the most in terms of customers? And look, like I said, there's no better man to talk about it from a customer success point of view. You deal with new business, people trialing, you deal with current existing clients who have been with us for years. So from your experience, do you want to talk a little bit through kind of who does benefit the most?
Yeah, of course. So look, what we have on screen, and there's definitely some new ones as well. Again, like QA manager, so there's no more spreadsheet juggling. You can score 1,000 calls and still make it to lunch. It is also about, how does AI really, really assist you in your process? Again, we keep talking about that percentages of there is that 100% possibility, but a lot of our clients are finding that, it's helping them with like 60% of their QA process, and it's allowing the QA managers and then QA teams inside those or those managers are managing to go and focus much more on processes that matter more to them, that are a little bit different and less mundane. Other than that, we have like our contact center leader, so full visibility into what's actually happening. No more agent roulette is a massive thing as well. Being able to take, insights from like our BI tool, and being able to quickly see training and development trends, things that we need to focus on, but not again from a small tiny selection process, from a much larger full coverage field of looking into it as well. So that's a massive one.
Yeah, and sorry, and look, you touched on it there, and just to, I suppose, highlight it as well. You talk to training and development, like that's obviously a huge element of what we talk about when we're doing AI trials, and what when we're in the Scorebody's BI and looking at the insights and trying to pinpoint, if you're doing QA at again 100% of what is possible or what should be QA'd, and making decisions based off that rather than the 3%, and really kind of making more educated decisions, bringing that to people that hold the budget, that hold those purse strings, and saying, hi, sales director, or hi, operations director, I would like budget for training and developments, and here's why, because we're
Exactly.
doing it.
Yeah, look, we've seen examples, and it's funny as well that the example use case in place is around empathy. We've seen a massive difference in how our human evaluators versus our AI evaluators were scoring empathy. And you would think that it would be obviously the humans would be better, but humans are way more biased to their agents around this. And we have seen with certain users that like a massive training around what the values of the business based on what the AI is being exactly told versus what the kind of bias of the human evaluator was giving was a massive difference. So being able to see that stuff right off the bat by just going in and looking at your automated insights is absolutely huge, and being able to then go and tackle that straight off the bat by seeing it and then watch it come down is massive.
And last point I'll make, and I promise I'll move on to the next slide. I think it's something I've seen closing deals where AI has been involved is a lot of our kind of champions and people that we're dealing with throughout the process get so much kind of credit down the line once it is implemented. And I'm not saying it happens overnight, but once it is implemented, they get a lot of credit and kind of, not even pats on the back, but you know what I'm trying to say, when they've now gone from the 3% and the costs associated to that, and for very little costs on top of that, going from 3% to the, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and so on, and the insights that the company is now getting that they never had before.
Absolutely. The new roles that we're seeing coming out of the ground, the transformation specialists that are going around, really trying to change not just even CS or QA teams, but the larger organization in terms of bringing AI into the business and really making innovation in those areas, as well as things like conversation designers and whatnot as well, and working with those. So yeah, we're seeing that AI revolution happen in terms of the people who it's benefiting the most overall.
Brilliant. I'll just do a quick pause and just say as well, there's some great questions coming through. Please keep them coming. Don't keep the questions to yourself, and we'll definitely address them, towards the end of the webinar. All right. So look, moving forward, where does it all fit in? Like, let's look. If I even take traditional QA today, Jordan, like we have, the quality teams that we're dealing with, it's human reviewers doing some of the best that we've ever seen is kind of doing 200 reviews a month, every month. And how many evaluators have we talked to that are absolutely, tired, shattered, near burnout, trying to do 200 evaluations month after month after month and keeping high consistency levels. They're, I suppose, with traditional QA again and focusing on the 3%, the point I will go back to is, if we're only doing that small number of evaluations, how do we actually know who our true top performers are? How do we really know who needs help? And look, if everyone on the call is honest, how can we pinpoint where people need help the most? Um, Weeks for insights. You look at massive pain for a lot of our current customers prior to AI coming out was, you look, the insights are great, it's fantastic, but like again, it's only a small kind of sample size that, we're not being able to automate the results. Help me make this easier and quicker. And that kind of goes into limited coverage and then inconsistent scoring. It's very similar to what I was saying earlier on. How can we expect somebody that's maybe paid, and look, let's example numbers, 3,000 euros or dollars or pounds a month to do 200, 250 evaluations a month and keep that really high level of consistency. But, and Jordan, question to you, or I suppose raise a point with you, how many people do we talk to that evaluations is only part of their job? They're spinning so many different plates as well.
Of course, yeah, it goes back to that kind of who it benefits as well, and that percentage of what they're covering. Look, some of the complaints that we're getting from current and I guess traditional QA is tiny samples, inconsistent scoring, and slow feedback loops. Now look, we've calibration and things like that to fight that stuff, but bias just never goes away when it's, again, you mentioned it there, you have supervisors who are also doing QA and it's their own team, and there's a lot of that stuff that falls in play, and completely understand that's just some certain people's QA processes, but we're trying to basically, I not do away with it completely, but really, really help. Again, it's not about replacing your team or your QA manager. It's about replacing that guesswork, thinking of your AI as your most tireless, unbiased reviewer who never gets coffee cravings or skips steps. It doesn't play favorites. It doesn't get tired. It gets results. So it is kind of the feedback that we're getting and where we're kind of moving away from, and again, it's to extend what they can do.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think like there's so many aspects. And look, for people who haven't seen what Scorebody's AI does, happy to do it on demonstration at any stage. Let us know if you'd like one. Um, but the AI, I suppose you and I are talking mainly today about the auto scoring, but there's so many elements to it that speed up the process and give us insights. Like the generative AI today gives feedback on every single question as well. So again, it's further insights and real kind of insights. And I suppose a point you touched on as well is recognizing those trends, that kind of pattern recognition as well.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry,
Yeah.
I stunted you there with the end. Apologies. Will we keep going, or is there anything else you want to kind of bring up on this one?
No, feel free to keep going.
Okay, spot on. Okay, I'll be quiet on this one and let you come in.
Look, yeah. So team readiness, people make or break your AI success. So look, we're kind of going from our vague criteria to our more behavioral based, and like this is something we'll talk about next as well in our kind of scorecard optimization and that prompting and things like that. But we're kind of going away from kind of vague criteria of professional demeanor to more behavioral based, like use customer names. And this is something that's quite important, and how, like, it's not to say that your whole QA process is going to shift, but it is more about being very specific, because there's no vagueness with the AI. It's going to be yes or no in a lot of circumstances, or NA. But this is kind of where we're going with it. And the whole point here is we're being specific. We're being more observable and measurable to get that full overview of success. And again, like it helps us prepare your QA team to shift from scoring to interpreting and coaching, and upskill, don't replace. AI gives them superpowers, to really go in there. And again, we look at things like our agent summary and things like that as well, where we're getting, rather than like our whole point with auto scoring and getting that massive coverage is never to basically put them in line that they have to click 100 different scores. The whole point is that we're able to deliver that in a very easily digestible coaching way, and again, hopefully as well with the tone and the values that your customer service team wants to give.
And I suppose, Jordan, with this as well, like a kind of good feedback that we get from customers, again, like it goes back to team readiness, but like from an agent level, is we've split up the dashboards for agents that they can kind of see where the manual scores are coming in, see where the AI scores are coming in, and like I suppose, what's your take on that in terms from an agent perspective and what you've seen in terms of, trust building and so on?
Like this was completely feedback from our first adopters within our Score with the AI program, I guess. And this was really getting that full agreement. Some people were very much like, yeah, we want to roll out to customer or to agents right away. Some people wanted to do it in a much more phased approach. And we found giving them the option to have both definitely was the way forward. And we've seen straight away, and I've mentioned phased approach many times because it is so important to get agent buy-in. Obviously, there's a lot of naysayers and different things around when it comes to Gen AI and obviously replacing jobs and all those types of things, that it does have to be handled, delicately and importantly with team readiness. This is how we get them in line. And it's also them understanding that the vagueness is gone and being very specific is there as well. We're going to be, there's not going to be much up for question in a lot of things, hopefully, especially what we want the AI to tackle. There's still going to be plenty of stuff that your human evaluators are going to go in and tackle that will be more questionable and more conversation. And we want that. We want engagement from our clients questioning things because it shows that they actually care about your processes. But it's about that hybrid approach as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. When we're focusing on scorecard optimization, look, I don't want anyone on the call or on the webinar today thinking that, we start a trial and we say, listen, thanks very much, best of luck, I'll talk to you next week. Do you want to kind of, let's talk through like scorecard creation. So between the manual and kind of the AI scorecards, let's even start with that. What are the main differences for maybe Scoreworthy customers today that have created manual scorecards, and maybe for listeners who aren't familiar?
Just your standard. The thing about it is there's really not that much difference in terms of what was in place before and what's in place now. Just to explain what a Scoreworthy scorecard looks like in terms of it is your questions, your sections, as well as your root causes, comments, your answers, custom fields, things like that that are in place. We've really went as like to keep things as Scoreworthy as possible. We have made sure it's for our scorecard to be pretty much exactly the same as it was, bar maybe one or two small things, but mainly, and I guess the one thing we want to mention is our tip section. So we already had a tip section in place, and this is basically where you build your prompt. And the tip section was already in place in terms of being able to give your evaluators as much context as possible, making sure that your questions are short and look good in a reporting chart. And your tip sections is where all the basically the information lies, and giving as much detail so you're taking away that vagueness. And now we've basically gotten to a point where that tip that was in place is perfect, but we then put it into a more structured prompt for our AI. And that structured prompt is very simple as well. We do recommend it's a very simple, your standard summary. It could have been exactly what was already in your tip in terms of giving that full detail, an answer rating scale to be very specific about. We have said it many times already. It has to be what is yes, what is no, what is NA, or what is 5 to rate out of 5 to 1, and different things like that as well. And that customization is fully there, from telling the AI exactly how you want it to answer your question to the types of answers that you can also add in there as well.
And just on that, like, is that customization, like, I suppose from your experience, is that something that you and I can crack with a customer today, one day? What's that like? Is that ongoing? Is that days, weeks, months? What's
it can be, like, honestly, it can be a matter of, a half an hour or something like that, really, in terms, especially if you already have a scorecard in place, which a lot of our customers would. And that's what we do try to focus on when we jump into trials and trying to move into the AI, is taking what you have and making it AI eligible, basically. So in terms of doing that, it really is just small edits in terms of your prompting and getting it where it needs to be. And we do also have what is our AI previewer, which allows you in the scorecard itself to go in and basically make small edits, go in, test, make small edits, go in, test really, really quickly. It's something that's been magic for CS anyway, as well, for getting success for our clients as well.
Yeah, I've loved the feature as well because beforehand, obviously a lot of the feedback was, thank you so much for helping us with the prompts. We're ready to go. And then customers have done 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 scores and realize there was a very simple mistake in that prompt. I wish I caught that sooner. So that's kind of, the feature you're describing there is our customers can test it, try it on kind of a real interaction and make those changes as they go. So it is ongoing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And another thing to point out as well is beforehand, when we were our, I guess, routine scorecard that we had for QA, we would always recommend going smaller with your scorecard. Like, try keep it as concise as possible. The whole point is productivity and making sure that your evaluators are spending as less time as they possibly can with making sure that you're getting all the insights that you need out of your QA process. Now we can actually recommend that they add in as much as they like. We offer we call it our like global generic scorecard, where they can go in and view. It's like 20 odd, nearly 30 questions that are all things that we know it does really, really well, that you can add to your scorecard. Things like even predictive stats like CSAT and sentiment and things like that you can just add into your scorecard just for extra insights that you can then add into your BI and whatnot as well. So it is something where we're seeing the overall QA process evolve, again, to make those more strategic decisions.
And last point again, I promise I'll move on. But I suppose we're like a lot of people as well, the expectations of AI is that it's going to do absolutely everything. And I think something that you and I have joked about a lot as well is AI is terrible at some things, and that's just AI in general. It's still in its infancy stage, or a point an analogy we heard before, it's still in its Nokia 3210 stage, and it's terrible at things like sarcasm. And look, we've made this joke a few times, and I'll recycle it again. But do humans even get sarcasm? A lot of the time they don't. So it's to manage expectations there as well. Yeah, that's the last point I wanted to throw out on that one.
Yeah, like it is huge in terms of we know certain areas where it can cover. Like, we'll be very transparent when we do bring any sort of process on there. There's only so many tools that we can reach with AI and whatnot so far, and there's just certain things that it won't be able to cover.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep it going. Okay, a much bigger number. We've gone from 3% up to 30%. We've talked about this before, about messy data. And I suppose like for a lot of customers, when we've kind of first start working with them, it's the data quality, and it is a blocker for a lot of customers. I suppose, do you want to kind of explain that a little bit better for some of the people that are listening today, and maybe give an insight into how yourself and the rest of the customer success team and Scorebody have kind of guided people through that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that's been way before AI as well, in terms of your data quality, your data hygiene, anything where we may connect to another integration. It is hugely important that you're very aware of what you want to bring across. You mentioned there, like, what's the process that we go through to make sure that we are getting this done early and not late in the process where, as we say, it gets messy. And that is usually like understanding your goals in terms of what you want to pull in. How are we looking at your selection process? Fair enough if you want to look at everything, but there is going to be some things that you might want to put more attention on. That could be certain missing metadata, or just metadata in general that you want to pull, or an object that you want to pull from your CRM. If that stuff isn't in line before you connect to Scorebody, that can be a big blocker in the middle of your project in terms of moving things along. We do always recommend getting that stuff done. A massive thing now as well, as we go into our kind of stage 2 or phase 2 of Scorebuddy's AI is our knowledge area that we are about to add. It's something we'll definitely discuss. And this is going to be massive around. We are looking at basically adding in pages from, and you can pull them from your knowledge base, and you can add that in as basically like a tooltip, and to give your AI evaluator more information on your overall process, if this is from policies or for, again, instructions in your knowledge base that your agents might need to know. This is going to be massive in terms of, first of all, your data needs to be up to date. It needs to be in line with how your agents are speaking to your customers, and it has to be based, it has to be correct. It has to be in line with what you guys want to be said to customers. So a lot of that stuff is going to be hugely important going forward. And this is not just, this isn't just QA. This is going to be everything that if you integrate with another tool, your data being clean is going to be a massive one. But yeah, I highly recommend, before you do take a plunge, you do have a look and see if your use case makes sense on your CRM before you push it to another tool.
Yeah, exactly. Because AI is not going to fix it. It's just going to kind of highlight the problem quicker, I think. On the knowledge base, and look, why not talk about it a little bit now? What are some of the use cases that you think we can tackle with customers by, letting their AI refer to the knowledge base? Like, what are some of the examples that you've heard?
Yeah. So like we've seen, like, rather than we spoke about customer support, I guess, a lot on the call. We've seen some really cool examples of late with sales teams as well. So a lot of sales quality is done around scripting and things that they need to say. It could be policies that they need to say. We're working specifically maybe with an insurance company, and there's certain things that they need to outline and they need to say pretty much word for word, or at least verbatim. And we've been able to, link a AI evaluator to this specific page where it has exactly that scripting, and rather than having all of that script in your actual tip, it's able to refer to and make sure that it is basically going through it word for word, or making sure that it doesn't miss out on any of the fine detail that could possibly lead to a compliance error, or bad for audit trails and things like that as well. So we're seeing some really cool in that space around policies and different things like that as well. So very excited as well just to roll it out to see what else we can kind of start to look at in terms of use cases.
Yeah, okay, nice. Okay, so let's keep this show on the road. Don't jump, evolve. Okay, so I suppose the main message that we've been trying to convey so far for the last 38 minutes is basically trying to explain to people that this isn't just something you come in, you turn on the switch, and boom, all your problems are gone away. Jordan, you've mentioned it countless times already. I suppose the idea is doing this in a phased kind of approach, in a controlled environment, scaling, in stages. Some of the best customer success stories that we've had, even some of our partners have done it in that kind of scaled environment, and doing it with human agents, maybe a sample of 20 out of 100. Doing it, like you said as well, doing it with the smaller scorecard, then doing a longer one, and then adding in more teams, then adding in AI agents, which, obviously a little drop score, but he can do as well. But is there anything else, like, where we haven't mentioned about that? Like, we've set the phased approach, we're building confidence to, get that success, but what else have we not said to kind of give people peace of mind? Don't do it, don't jump. It's a slow evolution.
Look, again, it is building trust in those phases, and showing where each phase delivers value. Like, we're not jumping into hyperspace here. We're taking quality assurance out of the Stone Age. Yeah, look, let's go through, I guess, each phase, and
Cool.
we'll see kind of each part. So yeah, like, again, with your crawl phase, you want a small scale controlled start. You obviously, if it's running a pilot, you want to maybe one or two teams, one channel, You want to make sure that you are, flagging your interactions, that human verify, if that's through maybe a calibration process. We've seen one or two clients get really, really good easy starts. Again, it could be, we can show you massive volume if you need to see massive volume, but in these cases, we might show like 10 scores of maybe two different scorecards or something like that. And then your actual human evaluators can go in and start a blind scoring calibration session, and you can see that like for like. As we've kind of mentioned before, there's going to be, you could have your actual scorecard that has 24 questions, and then your AI scorecard that has maybe 15 questions, and it's not going to be like for like. So doing these kind of exercises is really important. It also, I mentioned it earlier, is like about educating your QA team and agents on what to expect. We've kind of went into how important it is to roll it out slowly, but to also let them understand exactly how specific it's going to be, and also that they're going to be part of the process. If you're doing a pilot, make sure to embed some of your agents in the process, especially maybe your senior agents, more, ones that are more, maybe just gifted in customer support in general. And it's going to trickle down inside as well. If they can get the trust, well, then, the rest of the teams will follow suit.
Yeah.
And also,
sorry, just real quick. Yeah, and hopefully I'm not robbing your point, but
no.
it's on that. It's so that the agents are also able to see, like, oh, this is what I can see on my dashboard, and kind of the engagement levels that you can bring to the table there. The evaluators can see what it's like if the AI, because we can set it up that if the AI scores sentiment 1 out of 5, that we can, trigger that to fall into kind of an automated workflow for one of the human evaluators to bring that to their attention and kind of go from there. So I do love your point about don't just it shouldn't be just the decision makers that are the QA managers or heads of departments running a trial. It should be like 5 to 10 people across different departments, different levels, so they can get the full whack. And again, sorry for speaking over you there.
Yeah, no problem, but spot on. And look, the most important thing at this phase as well is setting goals and measure early wins. It's something my team will try to do you anyway, is showing, if you were going through a process with us, we would like to show you, quickly that time saved, the better consistency, the sample that you've jumped up in, and at least, showing you exactly where you can be in 3 months. But yeah, and like in crawl, the AI is learning, and let's be honest, so are we. So it's it is that phase. We can kind of probably walk on to the walk phase.
Yeah, nice segue.
Nice. So look, expand, calibrate, and collaborate. It's about looking at the scale of coverage. So we're looking at, we've kind of done our testing. We've kind of got a bit of buy-in from your pilot phase and the team. We've already seen some really actionable insights and seen some goals already set to be achieved. We want to, as I say, roll it out to more teams, more scorecard sections, start to tackle some areas maybe we didn't look at it in our crawl phase. We want to look at also mixing our human and AI scoring. So, looking at, maybe how do we look at an overall quality process and combine the two, and how does that work together? We also look at, it's a massive point at this, that we are going, because of the scale, because we're getting bigger, we're really going to start letting the AI handle the grunt work and focus our current QA evaluators on strategy and what's important to the business. And then, look, again, at the very end, just like with the goal setting, we want to share early success stories internally. We want to make sure that, again, we're building momentum with the overall process for AI, and making sure that, other teams are hearing about it and letting them understand, and seeing who else wants to maybe get in and understand from that point. The last thing around it is focusing on as well edge cases. So this might be, we look at obviously rolling out to other teams, maybe teams that aren't just customer support, as I mentioned earlier, things like sales solutions and things like that as well. One very interesting use case that we had with is actually a client of your own, David, which was around the actual chatbot and the AI chatbot. I don't know if you want to tell us about that one.
So yeah, look, we've been very lucky and fortunate to have dealt with some kind of global leaders, and this particular one was in the gaming industry, and they had adapted an AI chatbot. And I suppose like we had done a lot of the work, as you said, getting their AI up and running on human agents. And I always do cringe a little bit when I say humans. I'm so sorry, but like when we did the human agents and we were getting accuracy levels, kind of working on them and working on volumes with them, and then the AI agent came in, and just I suppose it's definitely the future. It's helping a lot of customers that we're dealing with. But the scorecard and kind of the insights that they were getting around the AI agent, and then being able to compare on Scorecard BI, being able to compare the AI agent's performance compared to human agents and seeing the averages, like was so interesting, and kind of to see like what are the most common mistakes that the AI agent was making, and being able to go back and refine that compared to, and like it's just in the same breath, what are the most common mistakes human agents were making. So yeah, no, I appreciate that you're mentioning that one, because that was probably one of our maybe favorite projects dealing,
Oh,
working
absolutely.
on together.
Yeah, you might remember as well one of the big, I guess, kind of um, examples that they'd point out to us where they seen massive value was around our AI evaluator going in and finding areas where the AI assistant, the chatbot AI assistant, had basically spoken the wrong language in certain areas, which was a again massive for them to be able to find that out through real time insights rather than through possibly a customer complaining through a different channel or whatnot as well. So being able to go in and look at that, then go in and tune their bot is massive. And we've had other customers as well who have been working with a couple of different examples on them basically training their current AI assistant through their CRM tool or whatever tool it is in by using QA insights as well. So yeah, it's again all about those different edge cases and ways at this walk phase where we can think about where we need to be in our overall AI project process.
Jordan, I'm gonna keep moving because the clock is ticking, and we are we're getting to the money end of the webinar. So look, the run phase, I suppose. Let's finish on, well, we're almost finished, but on this one, we've been working with customers for 3, 6 months at this stage, but obviously the journey goes on. Do you want to kind of talk through that, and what's it like beyond the 6 month point?
Absolutely. We've a couple of customers who are at this phase. It's scaled, it's optimized, it's strategic QA. Like 100% of your interactions could be being scored, and we do have some customers who are basically running it on 100%. QA is no longer reactive; it is proactive. Insights, guide coaching, product, and even journey tweaks. AI is a QA component, not just a cool bolt-on. And look, this is where QA moves from being a call center to a secret weapon, which is amazing. And again, it brings it down to that ongoing excellence. And look, when once you get to that kind of phase, you can start to really really hone in. And we've also seen, we mentioned it so many times, we have customers that are at that point, and you would wonder what the engagement's like from agents where we've got like 100% of QA. They are embracing it in certain areas, questioning it in others, and they can be like, everybody can be a little bit more harsher on AI. It happens with AI assistants. But that's absolutely fine. That helps us tune and gets us feedback and helps us improve the process overall. But the fact that they're engaging at all is sometimes a massive thing for certain customer support teams. So it really is, again, just in terms of the overall where your strategic QA begins.
Okay, so look, we're coming close to wrapping up stage, right? And I'm gonna, Dahi, if you're there, brilliant.
Yeah,
I'll let you
great.
talk about this.
Thanks, Dave and Jordan. Great conversation so far. And as mentioned when we were advertising this, we have a nice little giveaway. So before we wrap up and move on to all the great questions, yeah, we've really something valuable to you. You can hear from the conversation between Dave and Jordan that it could be quite daunting to move from manual QA scoring to AI. So what we've done is we've put together this implementation guide, which will take everything we've covered today and help you put it in action. So inside you'll find practical tools like a readiness assessment checklist and implementation guidelines, ROI sheets, scorecard optimization, lots of great stuff in there. So the playbook is designed to make your journey to building an AI-powered QA program as smooth and as impactful as possible. We are here to help you. We have the great experience within Jordan, within the customer success. He helps our customers every day, and also David, who's selling it on a daily basis. So this will be shared with you right after the webinar as we send out a link to recording. So I just wanted to share that with you. So it's a really powerful piece of content, I have to say, as someone from marketing. So yeah, you'll get a copy of that right after, within sometime tomorrow when we send out the recording. So yeah, that's it for me. So do you want to cover the questions there?
Yeah.
And then we're a bit short in time. So
Yeah, no worries. Look, and thank you so much. There's loads of questions coming in and loads of comments, and I'm seeing a lot of familiar names from Rob, Leah, and Janelle, and a few others. So hello to people that I talk to on a regular basis. But David, is there any questions that you want to kind of jump on or pick on that you've seen come true, or will I just pick any of them?
I would say let's pick about 3 questions, and we have the names. We don't have time to go through them all. I think it's over
Yeah.
10. So I suggest that we do a follow-on to the folks that we haven't got answered. So again, you still have a couple of minutes to get your questions in. So I'll let yourself, or maybe if you want to pick 3 random ones, Dave, and then, as I said, we'll promise to get back to the rest.
Yeah, perfect. So, okay, Jordan, let me put this one to you. And apologies if I pronounce this person's name incorrectly. Malay, I hope. Apologies again if I got it wrong. Jordan, what is the accuracy rate of Scorebody AI, and is it a one size fits all for everybody?
Yeah, look, that's the first way to start it off. It certainly isn't a one size fits all, but from what we've seen so far in terms of the accuracy rate versus oh, sorry, our manual scoring or human scoring, it's been between 2 to 6% usually. Is usually kind of where we do see it in terms, and this is after you went through your tuning, when we've really like optimized your QA process and have it running again at that operational excellence. That's usually where we're seeing it. But it is something you can constantly mold, and it really does affect, again, about the feedback and the engagement that you get from either your agents, your evaluators, and again, that calibration exercise as well to really hone in on that. But yeah, we are seeing like really impressive accuracy even this early.
Okay, let's keep them going. I like this question. I'm not picking easy ones, so get yourself ready for it. This one is from Bethany. Bethany, thank you so much for the question. Jordan, do we have the ability to track and report certain words used during sales calls? And the example that Bethany's given is, it could be certain upsells that they're pushing. So can we track if they've mentioned it? So for example, this month we can see only 9% of calls mentioned our same day delivery upsell.
So funnily enough, our standard Gen AI auto scoring doesn't exactly do that as much as it would, but what we do have is a add-on tool called Scorebody CX, which is a conversational analytics tool that actually pretty much does what you said on the tin, which is go in and look for topics, keywords, and then what we can do is take those topics and keywords and actually bring them in to just say allow our Gen AI to go in and score it by building a scoring list. So it's something that we can definitely hone in on specific words like that, and then bring it into either our Gen AI process, or have it being sent to one of our human evaluators as well. But not to mention as well, as CX does have its own dashboards and insights and trends and things like that that you can hone in, like what's been the most used keyword this month versus last month and things like that as well.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to put you under time pressure on this last one. So I will read the question as quick as I can. This one comes from Leah in Portugal. This question is, I'm curious to understand if you would recommend any calibration or supervision process for AI reviewed cases, or if you have any other thoughts on how to ensure that AI is reviewing cases correctly, accurately after the testing tweaking phase. And
So
no pressure, you've got 4 minutes.
yeah, no problem. So look, we have a process set in place for our AI in terms of we have what is it? We call it like it's like standard in our QA is a review process. We call it for AI, it's a querying process. And this allows us to actually let the agent as well go in and actually query when it doesn't think that the AI is spot on. And we mentioned earlier on around our calibration, we've had calibration baked into ScoreBuddy for years, and it works in the exact same way. It works as in you can add as many supervisors or evaluators to go in and basically blind score the exact same score as an AI might have done, and then see a variation report where you can see like a percentage of it, if it's like 3 or 4 or 5% in the difference, plus also by which questions it didn't go in right. You can then go in and kind of make notes on it and have that discussion overall in your calibration area as well. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and all in good time.
Can we do one more?
I think we're just, yeah, do you want to do it? If you have a quick one, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's try. Okay, nice straightforward one. This is from Victoria. Is it possible to upload to ScoreBuddy custom information that AI can use for QA evaluation?
So this is what we discussed in the session as well. We talked about ScoreBuddy's knowledge. So this is something that is very much in alpha at the moment. It's going into beta very soon and should be rolled out more than likely towards the end of the year, which will allow you exactly to do that, allow you to upload, say, a PDF of, if it's a policy or whatever it is. Again, it could be a couple of pages long, and being able to then allow the AI evaluator to read that and give it the context from the question to use as a tooltip to then give feedback to your agents. So yeah.
Lovely. Jordan, I think let's leave it there for today. On behalf of all of us, David, let you sign off, I suppose.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone who's took the time out of their day by the reactions that we're seeing, all the love hearts and a round of applause and all the questions. It was really, really a good session. David and Jordan, thanks very much. It's brilliant. As we leave you, there's a survey, and I know a few folks have asked for a demo. You also have an opportunity to select if you want a demo within the survey. So thanks again to everyone. The recording, the playbook, everything will be sent out tomorrow. So looking forward to engaging with everyone, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Ciao.